again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Rampage from July 22nd, 2022. So this is Fighter Fest Week 2, Night 2. It was recorded after Dynamite on July 20th in Duluth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. So this is the go-home show for tomorrow night's ROH Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view event, which looks like it's going to be a pretty good show. We're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff on Rampage pertaining to that event tomorrow. And stick around till after I review Rampage. I will also do an in-depth preview of Death Before Dishonor. So the countdown show that they had on the YouTube channel for both ROH and AEW was pretty amazing. So I'll have a recap of the countdown show, and we'll preview tomorrow night's Death Before Dishonor. So stick around for that. One of the big storylines going through the last few Rampage was Jonathan Grisham turning on Lee Moriarty to join the Tully Blanchard Enterprises. Then last week, Grisham recruited and cheered at the got the with Stokely. So Grish Lee Moriarty lost the world title match on ROH, and Stokely Hathaway recruited Lee Moriarty to join him and leave Matt Seidel. Seidel told Lee, "Stay, and I'll give you a match that'll be on tonight's Rampage against Seidel's other trainee, other than Lee Moriarty. It's Dante Martin." So all signs pretty much point to Lee Moriarty taking up Stokely Hathaway on the offer to join. We'll just have to wait and see. Plus, Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin should be great. Another match that I predicted that would be on tonight's Rampage did get announced on Dynamite. Christopher Daniels has not been happy with Jay Lethal talking trash about Joe. So the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, one of my favorite wrestlers ever, will fight Jay Lethal tonight in what should be another really good match. So I've been looking forward to that all week, even before it was announced, because they definitely teased it on Rampage last week. So we'll also see a rap battle tonight between Max Caster and Austin Gunn. If Austin says anything cheesy and corny as usual, but it's not too bad. I wrote this preview down before the show. It's not too cheesy. It wasn't. It was all right. So anyway, the only other thing announced for tonight is that Britt Baker said that her and Jamie Hayter will tag team on Rampage, but they didn't say against who. So I was assuming it would be against unsigned talent, and I was pretty much right on that one. So let's get to the show. We start the match, or the first match of the show is going to be Adam Page teaming up with John Silver to take on the Butcher and the Blade. So this matchup was set up weirdly on Dynamite this week when Silver and Reynolds gifted Butcher and the Blade t-shirts that read Butch. I think it was supposed to be some kind of shot at Pete Dunne, aka Butch, on WWE SmackDown. But it didn't really make much sense. Wasn't that clever or funny, unless it's an inside joke that I don't get. It just showed the name Butch, so I don't have any idea what that was about. But anyway, Butcher and the Blade just attacked them, Silver and Reynolds, for they gifted those shirts and just got attacked for it. So it seems as though Alex Reynolds got hurt badly in that attack. Adam Page then came out after the attack to send them packing, and that set up tonight's match on Rampage. So last week on Dynamite, Silver and Reynolds interrupted Hangman's promo, which was kind of rude, especially to a guy with anxiety. But they wanted to avenge Hangman from the House of Blacks for against the House of Black for Brody King eliminating Hangman in the Royal Rampage. So the Kings of the Black Throne beat Silver and Reynolds last week on Rampage. Let's see if Silver has better luck with a little upgrade in partner here. Hangman and Silver have teamed once before. They beat Mark Quinn and Matt Hardy on Dynamite in March of 2021. So they've also teamed in trios together and 8-man tags. They're 1-2 in trios matches when they had Alex Reynolds with them. So the Butcher and the Blade having a pretty impressive tag record of 25-12. It's at least more impressive than I would have guessed them having. So Hangman has been in the ring once before against the Butcher and the Blade back in February of 2020 on Dynamite, when the Butcher and the Blade teamed with the Lucha Brothers to defeat all 4 members of the Elite. So Silver has been in the ring more often with them, because since Silver is in the tag division more often than Hangman. So Silver's had many matches against Butcher and the Blade before. He knows them fairly well. So over on YouTube, I had to go find the entrances for this one. The Butcher and the Blade come out first. No Bunny involved tonight. John Silver comes out, then quickly followed by Hangman and Adam Page. So Silver and Butcher are going to start this match. Silver charges right away when the bell rings at the Butcher. and Silver hits multiple clubbing blows, but unfortunately for Silver, he was attacking right next to the corner of the Butcher and the Blade, so the Blade just punches Silver to gain control for the Butcher. They now isolate Silver in the corner with quick tags for a long time here. The crowd starts to boo once it becomes a little too long and boring, and then they clap for Silver to rally. Silver then reverses a vertical suplex, and reverses into his vertical suplex. That looks pretty good by the pretty strong for his size. Adam John Silver. So Hangman Page now tags in. He hits the Butcher out of the ring. Then a fall away slam on the Blade, slingshot to the outside on the Butcher, then runs into the ring and dives out the other side to the Blade. So wow, that was pretty amazing flurry there by Hangman Page. Great stuff here. So the Butcher's now able to pull Hangman out of the ring once Hangman was overlooking at the Blade. Butcher throws Page right into the barricade, and we go to an a picture-in-picture ad break. So when the Butcher is now tagged in and beating up Hangman. Hangman tries to fight out of the corner, but Butcher uses his size to keep control here. Blade now tags in, works a chin lock. Hangman fights out of it and hits some big strikes on Blade. Blade tries to throw Hangman into the corner, but Hangman fights both the Butcher and the Blade off the corner to tag in John Silver as we come back from the break. So Silver then takes out both men with some really good explosive offense here. Pretty good stuff by John Silver overall in this match. Butcher then gets in the break up the pin there. A double team gut buster on John Silver now, and the Blade hits a doctor bomb for a 2 count. Out of nowhere, the Blade is now busted wide open. The red stuff is all over his face. I have no clue when that happened whatsoever. The Butcher and Hangman now tag in both. They have a striking exchange in the middle of the ring. Page uses his agility to win after a quick flurry, win the exchange, I should say, after a quick flurry. Page then hits a rolling lariat to absolutely just take down Butcher, who's much bigger than Page. That looks great. Another amazing flurry for Hangman now. I wish Hangman was in G1 over in New Japan. That would have been great. Then Hangman could have returned to AEW around the same time Kenny Omega's supposed to return for All Out, somewhere around there. So at least that's the rumors. But anyway, at least we get to see Hangman here on Rampage have a really good match. Hangman hits the buckshot lariat right after that big time knocking down of the Butcher. Then Hangman hits the buckshot lariat for the 1, 2, 3. So your winners of this match by pinfall are Hangman, Adam Page, and John Silver. And we just quickly move on to the next segment. So really good match overall. The crowd didn't like that long drawn out spot from the Butcher and the Blade, but other than that, decent match. Butcher and Blade didn't have much offense. John Silver got that shine a little bit, and then Hangman Page had 2 different big flurries in that match that were amazing to watch. So the next segment is a video package about the ROH Pure title match between Wheeler Yuta, the champion, versus Daniel Garcia. That'll be tomorrow night at Death Before Dishonor. So I will preview this more on the video, on this exact video where you're watching right now. I will, when I finish reviewing Rampage, talk about a little bit more on the Countdown show on YouTube. But Garcia and Yuta did have a sit-down interview on that Countdown show together with Caprice Coleman. It got pretty heated at the end when Yuta asked, where's the Daniel Garcia I used to know? When I first met you a year after you fought back to come back from the car accident. And then Garcia got really mad up in Yuta's face and yelled, don't ever talk about the accident. So now in this video package on Rampage, Yuta says, Danny, you're breaking my heart, man. I guess I made a little too personal. So Garcia says, you want to talk about my car accident that almost ended my life and took 6 months of recovery, 6 months of my mom pushing me around in a wheelchair and helping me on and off the toilet? This ain't about wrestling no more, man. I'm going to take you down to the canvas. I'm going to twist your body to the most uncomfortable ways I can imagine, and I'm going to make you tap out in the middle of the ring. So Yuta says, we're fighting under pure rules. That's my game. I'll make sure you never challenge me for this title again. So pretty interesting stuff there. I didn't know if we needed the image of Garcia being helped off the toilet by his mother, but I guess it puts over how unfortunate that car accident was and stuff like that. So now all of a sudden Claudio's circus music that sounds like Malcolm in the Middle had just started hits. I hate that music for Claudio, but Claudio Castagnoli comes out to the ring as we go to an ad break. When we come back, Claudio's in the ring with a microphone and says, tomorrow I will challenge Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, I know that title is one thing that's been eluding my whole career. I've never thought I was the best because I won the most championships. I know I'm the best because the fans always supported me. Jonathan Gresham is good, but there's nobody that can do what I do, and I'll win the ROH World Championship because I am Claudio GD Castagnoli. And really awkward promo there. Then we see all of Tony Blanchard Enterprises watching in the skybox. And yeah, like I said, weird promo they have here. It didn't have any substance in it. It seemed like a scripted WWE promo, which looked really awkward. I don't know what that was all about. Claudio delivered it fine, but it was kind of awkward to have on the show, to be honest. Claudio's just going out there saying like, "Oh, I have a title match and I'm gonna win because I'm Claudio Castagnoli." Look, what was the whole point of that whole thing? He could have said that in the back or anything. I don't know. So that whole kind of Claudio Castagnoli thing was a little weird there. But then we go from that to a pretty good video here with Wardlow. Wardlow says, "I wanted this title because this title was defended by the best against the best. That's what makes the TNT title stand up about the rest. I'll beat the crap out of the AEW locker room. I'll beat the crap out of the ROH locker room. I'll beat the crap out of any locker room on the planet. If you think you're up to if you think you're the top of the food chain, I welcome you to Wardlow's world to find out where you stand." And then the promo ends. I like this promo from Wardlow. Pretty good. I guess it makes sense because Wardlow used the word was as in past tense to say that that title was being defended by the best against the best. Um, we all know the prestige of the TNT title went down a little bit all around the time like Cody Rhodes left around that same time. It's kind of been in limbo. So Wardlow basically telling us that he wants to bring prestige back to the TNT title, and he's also reinstating the TNT Open Challenge. So maybe we'll see a TNT title match on Dynamite or Rampage this week. We've already got a couple title matches on Dynamite, so maybe it'll be like a special title match edition of Dynamite, and we'll have another TNT Open Challenge where anybody from the world might show up. So that'll be pretty cool, I guess. And then after that, already in the ring now is Lee Moriarty and Dante Martin. Even more fuel for Lee Moriarty to choose Stokely Hathaway, since Lee and Dante can't even get an entrance underneath Matt Seidel's leadership. So maybe more fuel to the fire here. Almost exactly a year ago, Lee Moriarty and Dante Martin were fighting on Dark, and Dante Martin won that match. Now they've made the upgrade to getting their match on Rampage. You have to imagine by around next year, you might be able to see this match on Dynamite. So they just keep moving up and up the ladder here. They're two of the best young prospects on the AEW roster. Both have been mentored by Matt Seidel, and Lee and Dante have been around each other in training for a while. They've also been teaming in trios matches alongside Matt Seidel, where they have a trios record of 2-0. So now Lee Moriarty has a tough decision to make, since Stokely Hathaway offered to manage Lee, and Seidel giving Lee this match against his other student might be the last straw. I don't think Lee Moriarty would have really wanted this match against Matt Seidel's other students. So anyway, we'll have to see how this shakes out. Lee Moriarty comes in with a record of 14-14. He's 10-8 in singles matches. Dante Martin has a record of 53-28, and he's 33-13 in singles matches. He's had a lot more singles matches now than he had with tag matches with his brother, since his brother Darius Martin keeps getting injured. It's just totally unfortunate. I think he also had a car accident that he's having to deal with right now. So maybe he can get some advice from Daniel Garcia, or Daniel Garcia can maybe give him a little bit of encouragement, since he's been through the same thing. Maybe something like that might happen behind the scenes, or already did. So the bell rings now and they stare at each other. Remember, it's Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin here. While they stare at each other, we see a picture-in-picture recap of Gresham beating Lee Moriarty last week with a low blow behind the referee's back. So they grapple. Lee Moriarty starts the match with a takedown, and then they start grappling on the mat. Good stuff here. Great catch can stuff. Lee Moriarty goes from an armbar to a cravat. Dante strikes his way out, then starts ringing the arm. Then flying mare to take out Lee to the mat. That looked great. Lee then quickly counters out into a hammerlock. Dante counters back, gaining wrist control into a Mahi straw cradle for a 2 count. The pace quickens even more now as Lee blocks a head scissors. Dante counters back with a leaping kick. Lee then gets up and hits a big forearm. Dante counters again with a running drop kick. So we go to a picture-in-picture ad break here. great action before we go to the break there. That was some good flurry and high intensity stuff with a little bit of catch can, a little bit of lucha libre. Great stuff. So now we're in the picture-in-picture ad break. Dante lets Lee get back up, but Dante shows some nice technical skills to apply an armbar right after Lee gets up. So Lee counters out, hyperextends Dante's arm across his shoulder. Then Lee hits a nice-looking butterfly suplex for a 2 count, just like his idol Tiger Mask. So Lee then quickly hits some forearms on a prone, laying down Dante, but lets Dante up after this. Lee takes him right back down with an armbar that lasts a long time here until Dante's able to back out, and we lose picture-in-picture ad break for about a minute. So when we do come back, Dante hits a head scissors off the middle rope, and then Stokely Hathaway walks down to ringside. So interesting development there. Dante then hits a big crossbody, looked great off the top rope for a 2 count. Lee Moriarty blocks and full Nelson. Then both men show great, amazing ability, to agility here, I should say, evading attacks until Lee eventually locks in the Border City stretch, the move taught to him by Alex Shelley. Dante then gets to the ropes, but is definitely hurt now. Lee Moriarty stays on the attack and notices Stokely is now ringside. Dante counters Lee into a great-looking half Nelson sit-out slam. That looked awesome from Dante. Lee's able to kick out of this. Dante then looks to the crowd for support and goes for his nosedive, his finisher, the double springboard moonsault, but Lee Moriarty is able to dodge this. Dante then rolls him up but Lee counters into a pin of his own. Moriarty grabs the ropes for leverage while pinning Dante for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall is Lee Moriarty. Lee then slides out of the ring and celebrates while Matt Sydal gets in the ring with a microphone and says, "This is how you want to get your big win? I didn't think you were that desperate enough to take the low road. I believed in you, but now I'm going to kick your butt. Next week on Rampage, you don't face the student, you face the teacher." So Stokely Hathaway tries to hand Lee Moriarty his business card, but Lee did not accept it, did not take the card. That doesn't mean he won't be going with Stokely eventually. It just means he didn't want to, no pun intended, play his card, show his hand, like play his cards. He wants to keep people guessing as far as like he has to fight Sydal next week. He doesn't want Sydal to know what his plans are going to be or whatever. So after that, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter now come out after everyone else had left, and they're accompanied by Rebel. Rebel's still holding on to that sandbag that they had. I think that was 2 weeks ago now, so that's awkward. Already in the ring are their opponents Ashley Dembois and Skye Blue. Skye Blue is not technically signed to AEW, but Skye Blue is almost always on Dark every single week, getting your butt kicked by Nyla Rose. But this will be Britt Baker's first match back since she lost to Toni Storm about a month ago on the Road Rager Dynamite. And seemingly the feud with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Thunderstorm is far from over. So maybe this feud will lead us back to Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter not seeing eye to eye with each other, because we teased that for months and months and months. They teased tension between Britt and Jamie, but then they haven't shown any tension in a while. Maybe that's because Britt was more focused on getting her title back instead, and plus they took a little vacation, so maybe they needed a little time apart. They'll be on a strong unit again, and I'd almost forgotten by now that Britt Baker was the winner of the Owen Hart tournament. It just seems so long ago. So much happens in a short amount of time here in the wrestling world, not just AEW, but everything combined. So anyway, it's been since the LA Dynamite that we've last seen Jamie Hayter wrestle. It was on June 1st, tagging alongside Britt Baker, and they lost to Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. So Jamie lost in that Owen Hart tournament in the first round, the Toni Storm as well. And their opponents, Skye Blue and Ashley Dembois. We last saw Skye Blue return from a 1-month injury over this week on, I think, it was either Elevation or Dark. I can't remember, but it was good to see Skye Blue here on a show that wasn't Dark or Elevation. And it's also nice to see her not have to get her butt kicked by Nyla Rose for once. It's been kind of uncomfortable to watch Nyla just absolutely destroy Skye Blue week after week, where Skye barely gets any comeuppance for it. So anyway, Ashley Dembois is the current IWC wrestling women's champion, and she also makes appearances for the promotion Shine a lot. We last saw Ashley Dembois in AEW on June 11th on Dark. She lost to Willow Nightingale. Skye Blue and Ashley Dubois never teamed together, but they do have a match against each other on Dark in December where Skye Blue won. So Ashley has a nasty 0-19 record in AEW and is 0-1 in tag matches. Meanwhile, Skye Blue is 11-7. 11-27, and Skye Blue's 1-5 in tag matches. So Jamie Hayter have had 5 tag matches before, are 1-4 actually. So barely ever win. When they have a trios team, they're 0-3, but I'm sure that's Rebel's fault. So Skye Blue and Britt Baker will start the match. Britt gets the arm and takes Skye down right away. Skye does a nice cartwheel here to get out of it, but Britt just takes her right down with the hair. Skye shows a nice matrix move like Trish Stratus used to do to dodge a clothesline or a lariat, but Britt kicked Skye right in the face while she was doing the matrix move. So that was pretty cool and vicious. Jamie then now tags in, quickens the pace with some multiple stomps, and Britt takes a cheap shot from the apron. Skye then counters Jamie, but Britt blind tags in and hits a spinning neck breaker on Skye Blue. Off the apron, it was on the apron to the outside of the ring, and it looked really nasty. Skye Blue, every time she wrestles, is just getting the crap beat out of her time after time. And she just came back from injury, a 1-month injury. I'm pretty sure it was because she allowed Marina Shafir to get super stiff with her, and she ended up getting hurt on those Marina Shafir judo throws because they were like legit. Skye Blue might need to tame it down a little bit on allowing people to just beat the crap out of her every single time. But anyway, Skye then hits a kick to the knee and then a kick to the head to tag in Ashley Dubois. Jamie now tags in 2 and dodges a rolling neckbreaker attempt from Ashley. Britt comes in, hits a super kick on Ashley's face or the chin. Skye runs in to help, but eats a nasty big boot from Jamie. That was awesome looking. Britt then hits a ripcord elbow strike on Ashley immediately after Jamie hits a great looking Irish curse backbreaker. Ashley's getting destroyed here. Britt Baker's now on the apron, puts her glove on and tags in. But before locking it in, Britt takes Ashley over to the corner. Britt goes up to the top rope, and this was awkward. Britt Baker just kind of jumps down from the top rope and then awkwardly transitions into a butterfly suplex. I don't know if that was what she was trying to do, but it looked awkward. Anyway, Jamie now runs in and absolutely destroys Ashley with a nasty diving lariat to the back of the head. Just big back to the head shot here. Ashley's just gone at this point. Britt Baker then applies the lockjaw anyway, and Ashley is aware enough to tap out at least. So the winners of the match by submission is Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And where was Skye Blue? Was she still down from that? I mean, that was a nasty big boot, but a couple minutes had passed by that point. Skye Blue must have been out cold. Anyway, we go to an ad break right after that. Overall, I mean, it was a fine match. Ashley Dubois and Skye Blue were just both getting destroyed out there. So a good showcase match for Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. When we come back from break, we have a video package showing Arya Daivari, of all people, formerly of 205 Live in WWE in the Cruiserweight division. He's recently had a few dark matches for AEW for the last few months or whatever. So Daivari is shown in a warehouse. He's got fancy dress clothes on. He's smiling. He's on the phone. We don't hear anything, and the video ends. But then it shows that his new name will be Ari Daivari, not Arya, but Ari Daivari, and he's going to be coming soon. And that's interesting. Definitely something to keep in mind. Maybe Ari will be in ROH. Who knows? But we do get all the announcements for additional matches on ROH Death Before Dishonor tomorrow. And Ari Daivari is on the pre-show, so we will see him debut. He's got a tag team with a guy named Slim J, who looks like he's got a Slim Shady gimmick. I'm down for that, being a Detroit guy that was about 13 when Slim Shady first CD came out. So that could be interesting. Anyway, already in the ring now is the Acclaimed and all 3 members of Gun Club. There's also a bunch of other guys in the ring, about 8 of them. I noticed one of them is Baron Black, who somehow has an abysmal AEW record of 0-50. How is that even possible? How do you get booked on AEW 50 times and never win a match? Baron Black is a true legend of AEW. So anyway, Baron Black's just in the background of this rap battle segment. And he does actually, poor Baron Black with a 0-50 record in AEW gets absolutely murked and destroyed by Billy Gunn at the end of this rap battle. So wow, Baron Black, AEW legend right there. Anyway, rapper Lil Scrappy is going to be the judge for this rap battle. So he's also from Atlanta. We've had a lot of Atlanta hip hop representation on these tapings between Dynamite and Rampage. So Little Scrappy says he's going to call this. He's going to be the judge. He's going to call this fair. He did a coin toss in the back to determine the order, and Austin Gunn will go first. So Austin Gunn's wearing like one of those neon yellow workers vests. I don't not quite sure why, but Austin, I thought maybe it was going to be a silly gimmick type thing, but Austin is fine. He didn't really spit it like bars, but he just kind of read it out like poetry. So anyway, I wrote down what Austin said here. It was pretty interesting. He had some interesting bars. So Austin Gunn says to Max Caster in this rap battle, remember, I'm not scared of you, mister. Why would I be scared of one of Bobby Lashley's sisters? Here's a secret. You dated Chris Stat. Let me tell you where you went wrong with that. I'll give you a teaser. It's because Edward Scissorhands over here couldn't please her. So before you talk about daddy ass, your dad is Rich Caster. How about we talk about whose daddy's career ended faster? He played tight end. Bowens, is that giving you a fever? You role play. Is that why you're always the wide receiver? The acclaimed in the guns, it all ended in Georgia. So have a great day. I've got 2 words for you. And then the crowd yells, suck it. So decent bars. He didn't like spit it with any rhyme or rhythm, but I mean, let's break it down a little bit. Max Caster did play one of Bobby Lashley's sisters in one of the worst segments in Raw history, where they had some guys dress up as women, and one of them was Max Caster. So that was funny to bring up. Also, I never knew Max Caster and Chris Statlander dated, but I do know that they're both from Long Island, so they probably met in the Indies, and they might have even trained together at the same academy. So that's interesting. Max Caster's father, if you don't know, was a former NFL player, tight end for the New York Jets. And I didn't even have to go look up how long Max Caster's dad's NFL career was, because I think every single person in NFL career history, other than maybe Morton Anderson, who was a kicker, has a shorter career than Billy Gunn's 33-year career. So that's everybody in NFL history. So that's somewhat low-hanging fruit, going for the gay joke with the openly gay Bowens. That part was maybe a little unnecessary, but I'm sure Bowen said it was fine. So if they're all saying it's fine, it's just wrestling, it's not real, so nothing to get all upset about. So Max Caster had to be held back before at the end of that, and Max Caster now says with a lot more flow and stuff. But I'm just gonna read it. I'm not even gonna try. I'm too tired for that. So Max Caster says, "On the mic, I'm untouchable. You only playing. You rapping. That's cultural appropriation. A white guy with a tough little rap voice. Your whole style's booty. That's why they call you the ass boys." Austin goes again. No, this isn't part of the bar. So Austin now goes again and starts stumbling over his lines while saying, "You say you're the best rapper alive. I'd say stick to rap, but you ain't even good at that. Oh, by the way, John Cena wants his gimmick back." So again, low hanging fruit there with the John Cena gimmick. So now Max says most of his bars next. So Max Caster says, Austin Gunn, wow, would have never thought to run. I've been hot since your dumbass dad was called the one. I'm the real star player, like the Hawks, I'm young. I'll serve you and your chick with my awesome tongue, which is awkward. Uh, I thought you had heat, but you ain't smoked me once. Bowen's got a bigger spark when he's holding the blunt. So I'll give it to you raw, so you closer to the done. Serving you is the only way I'm holding the gun. I beat you and Billy from Oakland to Philly. Choke you silly because I'm owning my grizzy. I be showing you skill. Here you got some hair replacement surgery. I'll open the bill. How's it feel to have a dad that's known for showing his crotch? I'll be in 2 reality shows that nobody watched. You tried to work in ROH, but your ass couldn't. Tony bought the whole damn company to burn your match footage. I rap bullets until the fans make the clap noise. No matter what, you're just still a couple of ass boys. So the flow was really good from Max, but 80% of his content wasn't as intriguing. I like the things that Austin Gunn had to say better, but I did not even know Austin Gunn was in ROH, so that's funny. He must have had some terrible matches for him to bring that up. Anything else interesting? Let me see. I mean, the saying that he'd serve him with his tongue was a little weird, but anyway. Austin's now all nervous, can't even talk. Bowen says the ass boys are choking. Little Scrappy says Max Caster wins, and the Gun Club just destroys everyone in the ring. I think Little Scrappy got out of there unharmed, but poor 0 and 50 Baron Black gets thrown out of the ring really hard by Billy Gunn. I think it looked painful. So Baron Black is just the lowest of the low in AEW. How do you even get scheduled for 50 matches and not win one? So, um, Gun Club stands tall to end this segment, and we move on. It was a lot better than I thought. I was hoping it wasn't going to be a cringe fest, and it wasn't. So that's all you can hope for. It was decently entertaining. I liked my favorite line might have been the first one about the Bobby's Lashley's sister, and then right from that to the line about Chris Stadlander. So that was probably the best stuff at the very beginning. So now we got Mark Henry in the back. He's with Jay Lethal and Christopher Daniels. They're gonna fight in the main event tonight. Daniels says Samoa Joe doesn't need me to stick up for him. He's gonna let his actions stick up for him at Death Before Dishonor. I'm just sick of hearing my friend's name get dragged in the mud by a punk like it's not Samoa Joe, like a punk like Jay Lethal. So Jay says, wait a minute. First of all, Christopher Daniels, you shouldn't be talking first. And second of all, you're worried about Samoa Joe's name being dragged in the mud when that's exactly what I'm going to do to you tonight. Sonjay Dutt says, Daniels, this is a classic example when running your mouth goes wrong. So Daniels says, yeah, so much talk. Mark, can you say your catchphrase? So Mark says it's time for the main event. And then Excalibur has one of the longest running downs of a lineup ever. So I'll just say the new things are, I guess some of it isn't new, but we don't have much announced for Dynamite yet, but we do have 2 title matches announced. So Thunder Rosa will defend the AEW World Title against Miyu Yamashita, which is going to be an amazing match. If you've never seen Yamashita, you're in for a treat. Then Ricky Starks defends the FTW title against Danhausen. If you heard my Dynamite review, I'm guessing that Danhausen might win that match, and then Hook will beat Danhausen for the FTW title. I think a lot of people are predicting this will lead to Hook fighting Ricky Starks, but I think it might just lead to Hook beating Danhausen and definitively not hanging out with Danhausen anymore, which would probably be good for Hook's career. Next week, for the Fight for the Fallen Rampage, we'll have, like we announced earlier, teacher versus student Matt Seidel. And then more announcements will be made for both the next week's shows at tomorrow's Death Before Dishonor. So I'm not quite sure if I can get on right after Death Before Dishonor ends tomorrow, but I will at some point have a review up for that. So now we have more announced matches here, just announced for Death Before Dishonor. 3 announces announced for the already one on the pre-show. So 4 matches on the pre-show tomorrow, starting at 7 Eastern on the YouTube page. It'll be we already knew it was going to be Willow Nightingale versus Allison Kay, which is going to be great. Then we've got Shinobi Shadow Squad, which is Cheeseburger and Eli Isom. Cheeseburger's an ROH legend at this point. Kind of a cult classic, not like a great wrestler, but Cheeseburger's also amazing. And they're going to fight the Truth Busters. So this is Ari Daivari making his debut, and Slim J, looking like a Slim Shady over there, is going to be his tag partner. So they're the Trust Busters. So that should be interesting. Also, we'll see the returning Colt Cabana. We have not seen Colt Cabana for a long time. Maybe not since the other ROH, what was it, Supercard of Honor pre-show. I think that might have been the last time we saw Colt Cabana. But he will wrestle Anthony Henry, who you might know as one half of the Workhorsemen with JD Drake. And then also on the pre-show, it's a 6-man tag team match. Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. That's Khan and Toa Leoa. And they form... they're all part of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. They're going to fight a really cool ragtag group of trios team here. Tony Deppen, Alex Zane, and Blake Christian. So that's going to be a great trios team right there. So that should be a pretty good match. We all know who's going to win that one because Tully Blanchard Enterprises is about to just run roughshod over all of ROH, I think. But that should be a great match. So then on the actual card, it's announced that Roosh will take on his younger brother, Dragon Lee. And holy crap, I didn't even know they were brothers. And I swear to you, I watched every episode of Lucha Underground. And it wasn't until after Lucha Underground ended that I found out Penta, and Ray Phoenix were brothers. So it's just wild. This is so wild. But that match should be great. And that was the only match for the main card that was announced tonight. So Roosh versus his brother Dragon Lee is on the main card. We got 3 more matches for the pre-show. So that means the main card is 6 title matches, all of them ROH titles. And then the only non-title match is brother versus brother, Roosh versus Dragon Lee. So stick around. As soon as I finish the main event, which we're on now, I am going to do a Death Before Dishonor preview. So stick around for that. It's time for the main event, though. It'll be Jay Lethal versus Christopher Daniels. I'm excited for this match. So I'm assuming what happens? Well, Daniels loses and gets beat down, and the returning Joe will save him. But no, that does not happen. So let's find out what does. These two men have been Jay Lethal and Christopher Daniels in the same match together 29 times before. First in 2005 was their first match together, where Daniels successfully defended the X Division, TNA X Division title at an NWA Upstate New York show of all things. Lethal and Daniels then have a rivalry that spanned ROH and TNA, now here in AEW under the ROH banner. So Christopher Daniels leads their singles match series 4 wins the 3, and the last time they were in the ring together was the Jericho Cruise back in 2018. It was a 4-way tag match that Daniels and Kazarian won. Lethal was teaming with Cheeseburger, and then also in that match was Silas Young, who we saw on Dynamite like last month in Milwaukee. Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser. The other team was a random pairing of Rhett Titus and Will Ferrara, who I haven't seen Will Ferrara or even heard his name in so long. So anyway, Jay Lethal is 17-4 in AEW, 12-4 in singles matches. The Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels is a record of 30-22, 6-10 in singles matches. So Daniels is out first to his classic, amazing TNA Fallen Angel music. Love that. One of the reasons, along with AJ Styles, I became a TNA fan around 2003, and I really didn't even hear about ROH at that point. I just happened to stumble upon TNA when they had their weekly 10-hour pay-per-views, and I just ordered it randomly. And I saw this guy AJ Styles on there that was like, oh my god, I got to keep watching this. And then I saw Christopher Daniels, and soon after that, Christopher Daniels' partner at the time, Elix Skipper. That was around the time where, if you guys have probably seen it, Elix Skipper doing the tightrope walk across the cage into a hurricanrana, like 16-20 feet in the air. That was crazy. So anyway, I've been watching these guys for so long, but I not necessarily in the ROH stuff that they were doing. I did see some of Jay Lethal's ROH world title run in the future that he would have. So anyway, before the bell even rings, well, Jay Lethal, he comes out with Sonjay and Satnam Singh, of course. Before the bell can even ring, Jay's launching an attack, but Daniels sees it coming and dodges it. They trade strikes as the crowd chants Fallen Angel now. So they're loving Fallen Angel here, and they hate Jay Lethal. So Lethal counters with a bad looking body drop, or a back body drop attempt. It wasn't bad looking, with a kick. Then Lethal takes control with more strikes after that. Daniels evades a moonsault, already a moonsault attempted, then hits a scoop slam on Jay. Daniels slingshots out from the apron to the inside with an elbow drop. That's one of Frankie Kazarian's signature moves right there, and nobody does it better than Frankie. That only gets Daniels a 1 count. So Daniels locks up a nice elbow, or gets a nice back elbow that, but Jay Lethal pokes the eyes. Jay then goes on the attack now with a chop and an uppercut. Daniels hits a really nice leg lariat, and that forces Jay Lethal to roll out of the ring. So Jay evades a slingshot to the outside by Daniels, but Jay goes into the ring, dives on the Daniels, and we go to a picture-in-picture ad break. So Jay hits another one of his dives to the outside and holds up the 2 fingers to. I thought he was going to try a third one, but we didn't get to see that. Anyway, instead, Jay Lethal goes in the ring and distracts the ref so we can get some Sonjay Dutt sneak attacks on Daniels. I don't know why they wouldn't have the giant sneak attack. Those would seemingly be more devastating. But anyway, Jay Lethal has Daniels in trouble now with a striking combo that looked good. It ended with a knee drop right to the face of Daniels. So Jay applies a headlock after that, then goes for an uppercut, but Daniels counters this uppercut into a roll up. Jay is able to kick out and keep control. Jay keeps control. When we come back from break, Daniels fights back, but misses a missile drop kick. I think it was off the middle rope. Daniels then counters to take control, hitting some punches in the corner, then his patented STO and a nice looking blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Jay Lethal kicks out. Lethal then counters a Uranagi slam that usually sets up the BME best moonsault ever from Daniels. And then Jay hits his lethal combination. So Jay goes for the elbow drop from the top rope, but Daniels dodges it. Then gets right after that. Lethal goes for the figure 4. Daniels blocks this too. And then Lethal counters this into a big boot. So Daniels then gets back up, counters another, not another, but a lethal injection. The finisher of Jay Lethal is countered with a back body drop here. Daniels then goes for the Angel's Wings, one of the finishers of Daniels, but Jay counters this. Then Jay hits the lethal injection, which is a handspring cutter. Nobody's kicked out of it in a long, long time, and nobody did here. So that gets the 1, 2, 3. The winner of the match by pinfall is Jay Lethal. Of course, we get attacks on Christopher Daniels as soon as the bell rings. Sonjay hands Daniels over the Satnam Singh, who hits a massive like military slam from like 8-9 feet up in the air when he held his hands up. Jay Lethal applies a sleeper hold while Sonjay Dutt talks trash. And wow, no Samoa Joe return to make the save. So Rampage ends with Sonjay saying he will break, or they will break Samoa Joe tomorrow. And it was and that was it. So kind of weird to not have Samoa Joe make the save. I guess the big return for Samoa Joe is going to be saved for tomorrow. This Rampage was kind of all over the place. Hopefully things get settled down. Maybe we're going to find out where ROH is going to have their own show, if it's going to be on TV somewhere, if it's going to be a streaming service, maybe a YouTube show. But right now, like, Rampage has been all over the place. Especially we had Forbidden Door before this, so we were having like New Japan people over at Rampage, and then it's just all been kind of clustered. But I think things will start to return to normal, and we get some kind of semblance of order after this week. So now I'm going to do my Death Before Dishonor preview. So it'll be tomorrow night on pay-per-view. Make sure you guys go watch, if you're going to watch the pay-per-view, watch the countdown show on YouTube for the event. But I will recap and review that countdown show right now. So it was pretty cool. The countdown show had all the history, the footage from Ring of Honor's history. So the countdown starts with Jonathan Gresham, the Ring of Honor World Champion. So Jonathan Gresham says, Ring of Honor is the company that held on to the essence and the foundation of what this industry is held upon. A man very important to the ROH World Championship once said that this title represents pro wrestling freedom. And I still believe in that. So then we see footage of Bryan Danielson is the one that said that very quote. And then we see highlights of a bunch of the past ROH World Heavyweight Champions. So Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman now talk about how good Gresham is. They mentioned some people underestimate him for being so small, but he is a very dangerous man. So now Claudio Castagnoli is there, and he says, the only reason I ever left any company that I wrestled for is when I felt I could no longer improve myself there. I leave. So the funny thing is, it brought me back to ROH. Then we see past highlights of Claudio in ROH in the past. Ian Riccaboni says Claudio was more focused on tag team wrestling the majority of his ROH time. And when Claudio did wrestle for the ROH title, the champion at the time was Nigel McGuinness, which was a matchup nightmare for Claudio. So now Claudio says, I really thought I had my best chance for the ROH world title in that match against Moroshima. I came really close to beating him that day. That was the closest I've ever been to winning the title. Yes, I'm sad to have never won a world championship in my career, but on the other hand, a lot of people focus so much on the world title that they lose sight of everything else. They lose themselves. They get destroyed by their own demons. I will not let that happen. So then we see Jonathan Gresham turning on Lee Moriarty to join the Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And Gresham says, for a very long time, I've done things my way. To recreate this company the way I see fit has been somewhat difficult, but only a fool does the same thing when they get the same results. So I had to try a different way, Tully Blanchard's way. Then we see, which is weird for Gresham to say. Then Gresham, we see retaining last week on Rampage against Lee Moriarty. Then Claudio challenging Gresham to set up this match now. So Gresham says the fans want Claudio to win the title. Claudio wants to win his first title. But can he win a world title? I really do think so. I believe he can, but not mine. And then Claudio says, Jonathan has that chip on his shoulder and uses that as fuel. And then Gresham says, Claudio, on July 22nd, exactly 30.4 miles away from where you dropped the ball against Moroshima in the main event of Death Before Dishonor 2004, for this very championship, history will repeat itself because you step in the ring with me, the foundation, the ROH World Champion. And that means you're going to have to outclass, outsmart, and out-wrestle the best technical wrestler in the world. But you won't. So then that segment ends. That's going to be a great technical match. I'm sure Claudio's going to win, right? There's like almost no way Claudio's not going to win the ROH world title tomorrow night. I mean, I guess there is a way. It'll be cheating. It'll be, what did Gresham say? The Tully Blanchard way. So that should be a good one. I do not think it'll main event. I think it'll be FTR versus Briscoes, but you never know. Maybe it'll be the first match of the night. That's a potential. So anyway, in the next segment, Ian Riccaboni is telling us that there would be no ROH women's division without people like Serena Deeb and current champion Mercedes Martinez. Then we see both women in old ROH footage. They were both looking really young. So Caprice says these were women that came in before ROH even had a women's division. So now Serena Deeb says, I made my ROH debut in 2007 in Dayton, Ohio. There was no women's division. We were working hard to put women's wrestling on the mat, but we were working against the grain, an uphill battle. So Mercedes Martinez now says, this title means a lot. Early in my career, there was no women's division. And here I am holding a title that was never around for me to even win. And now I can put it on a pedestal and bring the women's division to a level it should be. It's definitely a humbling experience, something I take to heart. So Serena Deeb then says, teaming with Mercedes taught me that there's somebody just as aggressive as me. I consider myself the most aggressive woman on this roster, the most ruthless, the most cutthroat. I'll do whatever it takes. But guess what? Mercedes has the exact same mindset. So then Ian, Riccaboni, and Caprice say that Mercedes maybe made a mistake with allowing Serena to tag with her and maybe scout the champion up close a little too much. So Mercedes now says, sometimes they say when you scout someone, you really scout what their intentions are. If Serena wanted the title shot, all she had to do was ask. The respect was on the table, but you want to make a statement, you want to attack me, you don't want to be partners, that's fine. I got you. I understand this. The moment I walk in that ring, respect goes out the window. Serena may think she can stop me. She may think she knows me, but there's one thing that people need to realize about this OG badass. Expect the unpredictability of what I can bring to the ring. I'm not taking this match lightly. I know what Serena is capable of. I know that at any moment I could lose this title, and all she needs is a 3 count. At Death Before Dishonor, I'm working as champion. I'm walking in as champion, and I'm walking out as champion. Remember that. So Serena Deeb finishes the segment by saying, I believe in my abilities above anything else. I've studied this game for 17 years. The reason they call me the professor is because I like to take people to school. I stretch people. I teach people lessons every single time I get in the ring. I'm at the highest level of my game right now. There's no woman that can touch me, and I'm not going to stop until I'm crowned women's champion. Really good promos here. I'm looking forward to that match just as much as anything else. Serena Deeb, the professor, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world right now. She's exactly like she said. No one can touch her right now. She needs to win this title. She has to win this title. It's going to be a good match, though. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we'll see something shady like Mercedes joining Tully Blanchard Enterprises or something like that. You never know what could happen, but Serena Deeb's on fire. That should be a great, hard-hitting, brutal match. Should be a great one. So the next segment starts with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal now in 2022, but he's watching a video of himself on ROH television back in November of 2005. So Jay Lethal in 2005, young Jay Lethal here says, I'm here to talk to you ROH fans about something that's very important to me, and that's the start of a wrestler's career. It took me the world. It took the world champion Samoa Joe to show me the light. I know things I would have never known if it wasn't for him, and also how to carry myself outside the ring. He became my family. Everywhere I go, I still hear that word protege. Then there has to come a time when a man has to stand alone. And I'm asking, when do I step out of Joe's shadow? So now we see Samoa Joe here in 2022, and he says, there were so many burgeoning prospects in the ROH infancy, and there was a ragtag band of misfit idiots, and I saw Jay out of that group. He was a guy just having fun in professional wrestling. So I said, hey, take this sport serious and you can really become a champion. Our bond was stronger than just friendship. In some aspects, I considered it a brotherhood. Now Jay Lethal is in 2022 and yelling, I was used. I did his dirty work. My crowning achievement at that time was having my parents front row to see their 19-year-old son win the ROH Pure Championship. It was that raise, so I can now buy that house for them. That's what I had. And Samoa Joe, the person who helped me get there, took it all away. Then we can see Joe beat Jay. No, this isn't him talking. Then we see a footage of Joe beating Jay for the Pure title, like Jay just talked about. So Joe says, winning the Pure Championship was bittersweet. In a lot of ways, it's marring your own creation. It was like finishing the Mona Lisa, then slashing the painting with a knife. But Jay needed to see the holes in his game. He needed to understand that he wasn't there yet. Unfortunately, Jay needed to be taught that lesson. So now Jay's yelling again. In that match, you beat the crap out of me. The physical bruises, those healed. But emotionally, I'll never heal. So then Caprice runs down all the accomplishments, all the titles that Jay Lethal has won since that very point in time. That means all the tough love that Joe taught Jay worked at the expense of their brotherhood, but Joe did it for Jay to reach his full potential. So Joe now says, it was hard not to pay attention to what Jay was doing, solidifying himself as one of the greatest ROH champions of all time. So Lethal says, I had to shed all of his teachings. I had to shed his stench. I had to shed his fingerprints that were deep in my very soul. I had to shed it so that I could look myself in the mirror and be proud of what I saw. I had both the ROH world title and the ROH television title. That's like being the president and the vice president. And I was the man, the face of the company. I was overshadowing anything Samoa Joe ever did in ROH. So Joe says, as most champions are defined, they're defined by the one great reign they have, and mine is still yet to be eclipsed. He came close, very close. I think that's always been the issue with Jay. Close. I think now it's just him desperate to get over that finish line. Let's see at the uh, then we see at the last ROH event, Supercard of Honor, Lethal and Sonjay Dutt were beating up Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty. That's when Samoa Joe made his return to ROH after so many years away, and he stopped Jay Lethal here and also beat up Sonjay Dutt, putting him in the Kakina clutch. So Joe says, that's not what I taught him. I told him to be vicious, but we don't share the carcass. We don't gather like a pack of hyenas. We hunt solo. We take everything. I just went out there to remind Jay about how to do things the proper way, and I showed him how to. So this is me talking. Let me pause right there. Samoa Joe, I was there in the crowd in Detroit here for TNA Slammiversary 2009. When Samoa Joe won the title with the help of Kurt Angle, then Samoa Joe joined the main event Mafia. So come on, Joe, you've done the same thing. But apparently, I mean, this is only ROH canon and stuff like that. So in ROH, Joe wasn't doing that. But I was there, though, Joe, in person. You did the same thing. So anyway, we now see Joe beat Minoru Suzuki recently, not recently, but a few months ago on Dynamite for the ROH TV title, and then the debut of Satnam Singh, who attacked Joe. So not only did Jay not listen to Joe on the pack of hyenas type stuff, but Jay Lethal doubled down and got himself a giant for even more backup. So now Jay says, now Sonjay, Satnam, and I, we think we want a shot at the ROH TV title, but Samoa Joe is a gutless coward, and he would never accept our challenge. So we figured, why don't we just keep attacking and provoking him until finally, like a man, he stands up and defends himself. I'm going to give you the greatest gift that any teacher could ask for. I'm taking every ounce of disrespect that you've thrown my way, every ounce of pain that you've thrown my way, and I'm taking every ounce of hatred that I have developed for you, and you're getting all of it, every last drop. When I take your ROH TV title, I'll make sure you never forget. Never forget. He got all Ric Flair at the end there. So Joe says, are you going to actually committed to what you're going to need to, are you going to actually be committed to what you need to do? I'll make sure you don't come around anymore. The answer is simple. You're not willing to do what I'm willing to do. I want those memories to replay in your mind. I want every word that came out of your mouth to be ringing in your ears as I slam this fist into your skull. You are not the chosen one. You are no one. You are not the one for the job. You are not the successor. You are not the next in line. The only thing you are is my next victim with a number that is written down in what I've done on this earth. Joe said that last line way better than I did. Pretty good closing line for Joe. I'm looking forward to that match a lot. So let's just move on. The next segment starts with AJ Styles hitting a Styles Clash off the middle rope to beat CM Punk to become the first ever ROH Pure Champion. This was back in 2004. So now we see a montage of all the Pure Champions from the past, not all of them, but all the big names. And then they explain the Pure rules. So if you don't know, it's 3 rope breaks allowed, 2 closed fists, and it's a DQ. Those closed fists to the head, I mean. And then I found out a new rule here that I didn't know about. If you interfere in a Pure Rules match, you are then removed from the ROH roster. So that's pretty cool rule. Anyway, at Death Before Dishonor, Wheeler Yuta will defend the title against the Pure title against Daniel Garcia, pro wrestler versus sports entertainer. And Yuta and Garcia now have a face-to-face sit-down here. So this is pretty interesting. Wheeler Yuta says, holding the ROH Pure Championship is both an honor and a responsibility. It's an honor that it shows that I'm the purest encapsulation of what it means to be a professional wrestler. But it's also a responsibility to guys like Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness, guys who brought this championship forward, to go and defend it against sports entertainers like my opponent here. And then Garcia says, hearing you name those names, the name Wheeler Yuta just doesn't fit in all those great names. Daniel Garcia, now that's a better fit. These people have held this prestigious title to such a high standard, and I don't think you fit. You don't fit at all. You want to know what's the holes in your game are? You're too nice. You're too compassionate. Well, I'm not. So Yuta says, Well, you have a lack of mental toughness. I was in that cage with you in blood and guts, and you learn a lot about a man when he starts bleeding. And I looked into your eyes and I saw a coward. We were exchanging slaps in the middle of the ring between the two rings, and I looked in your eyes. I saw fear and pain. You didn't see that in my eyes. So what are you going to do when it's just me and you? So Garcia says, the only thing I saw was when I whipped you with the belt and threw you off the cage into a pile of thumbtacks. I didn't see you for the rest of the match after that. Where were you at? When Bryan Danielson came to AEW, what was he talking about in every interview? Who did he want by his side? It wasn't Wheeler Yuta. It was Daniel Garcia. Regal can teach you all he wants to teach you, but he's trying to teach you all the traits that I was blessed and born with. I'm nasty. I'm grimy. I'm violent. So Yuta says, well, the Blackpool Comic Club isn't just about collecting championships. The plan has always been to push forward our vision of pro wrestling. You talk about Bryan Danielson saying a lot about you before he got here. Well, when he got to AEW and stepped in the ring with you, he afterwards stepped in the ring with me, and Danielson knew what was up at that point. Don't worry about it. There's a reason I have this championship already. It's because I embody what Blackpool Comic Club and professional wrestling represents. So Garcia then says, you guys couldn't even beat us on your own. You had to get Eddie, Santana, and Ortiz. If it was Blackpool Combat Club versus Jericho Appreciation Society, you guys don't stand a chance. So Yuta says, this match is a pro wrestler versus a sports entertainer. I've known you for a long time, and I always thought we were cut from the same cloth. I thought you were a pro wrestler like me. I thought you loved this. Where's that guy that we had an hour-long draw in a 100-degree warehouse? Where's that guy that loved this so much? You remember the first time we met? It was after you fought for a year to come back from that car accident. So Garcia gets really mad and interrupts, saying, shut up. Do not talk about the car accident. We are not cut from the same cloth. You don't have that dog in you like I have that dog in me. I'm going to bite down on you. Don't you ever talk about that car accident. So now they're out of the chairs in each other's face. Yuta finishes by saying, oh, I'm too nice. Well, I have no love for you, Danny. So that was a pretty interesting stuff. That's going to be a great match. Pure rules on the line for the pure title on the line. I wouldn't be surprised if a Jericho Appreciation Society guy interferes. If they get kicked off the ROH roster, why would they care? So that's no threat to them. So anyway, I did preview. So the next one they talked about, I didn't quite have enough time to write down word for word what happened. The big news about Vince McMahon dropped, and I started watching a podcast about that. Crazy news with Vince McMahon retiring from WWE. But anyway, if you go check out at the end of my last week Rampage, I talk about their sit-down interview between FTR and the Briscoes. And then remember, they have been setting up this match a little bit on Dynamite, that really amazing promo that Dax Harwood had about his 8-year-old daughter fighting through and healing her hole in her heart by fighting. So that was a great promo as well. This is going to be 2 out of 3 falls match for the ROH Tag Team Championships, FTR versus the Briscoes, after one of the best matches of all year long they had against each other at Supercard of Honor over the WrestleMania weekend. So there's news that Briscoes have finally signed an ROH contract. That's pretty big news. And then makes the winner of this match even more of a question mark of who would win. So you would think maybe the Briscoes would win this match to keep a third match as an option, but the older Briscoes might decide that they want to put over the younger FTR definitively. So I can't wait to see this match. It probably FTR versus Briscoes will be the main event. And might be another year match of the year candidate. If they outdo their first one, nobody's touching this for match of the year. So they have a big, it's so hard to replicate such a classic match. That was almost like a career defining match for both men, even though they've had long careers, and FTR will have many more great matches. That was like just one of those career defining moments that at their last match. So that's why this is so highly anticipated. Should be amazing. 2 out of 3 falls. I'm not quite sure who's going to win. So we do have a 6th title. Yes, 6 different ROH titles will be on Death Before Dishonor, and it'll be for the ROH World 6-man tag team titles. It'll be the Righteousness, who are the champions. That's Bateman, who I've definitely seen from I known him for so long. He used to be on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, where Pretty Peter Avalon was there, among other people. So that's Bateman, Dutch, and Vincent, who's part of Honor No More over in Impact. That's the Righteousness, and they are the 6-man tag team champions. They'll defend against Dalton Castle and the boys, boy number 1 and boy number 2. So the Righteousness won the tag team titles at Final Battle in December 11th, 2021. and they beat Shane Taylor Promotions. That's Khan, Moses, and O'Shea Edwards. That's funny that Khan was on Shane Taylor Promotions, has already switched over to Tully Blanchard Enterprises. So I know I've heard a lot of people want Tony Khan to bring Shane Taylor Promotions in, but in the meantime, Khan is now part of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. I could definitely see Brian Cage in the Gates of Agony, Khan and Toa Leoa, either interfering or attacking the winners, because that seems like a belts that they would have, the 6-man tag belts. So maybe even both factions show up, like Shane Taylor Promotions and Totally Blanchard Enterprises. That'd be pretty cool. So it would be kind of awesome to see Dalton Castle and the boys win the title here. Dalton had a nasty back injury that kept him out of action for, I think, a couple of years. And before that, Dalton Castle had won the ROH World title. So I hope that Dalton Castle is feeling a lot better and can stay healthy. But if Dalton Castle is going to show up and be in trios tag team, you don't have to have Dalton Castle take as many bumps and hurt his back and still be on the show and still be in matches. And then maybe you can establish the boys as an established tag team in the future. And I think that would be a good decision if they wanted to put the titles on Dalton Castle and the boys here. So, should be a good match. And don't forget, Jay Lethal, Sonjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh is probably going to be the most unstoppable trios team. They'll probably use that as a way to establish Satnam Singh, so that way you don't have to have the big man Singh in singles matches early in his career. So I think eventually maybe either Tully Blanchard Enterprises or the Jay Lethal, Sonjay Dutt, Satnam Singh faction will win the trios titles. But in the meantime, it would be pretty cool for Dalton Castle and the boys to win it here. So I didn't have any other previews other than the pre-show. It'll be Willow Nightingale versus Allison Kay. This one might even give Serena and Mercedes a run for best women's match of the night. So especially if they get 10 minutes or more. But now we were told there's going to be 4 different matches on the pre-show. So probably not too long of matches on the pre-show. Should still be a pretty good match. Willow's a star in the making, and Allison Kay is very good, formerly known as Sienna on Impact. And then she's also been an NWA, a former NWA Women's Tag Team Champion. So she's definitely ready. Allison Kay, that is ready for better competition. Like, for instance, a Serena Deeb. So maybe Allison Kay could get signed to the roster and come off of this. But although Willow, like I said, is a star in the making as well. So you might want to give her the win. That should be a pretty good match. And I didn't have time to preview all the matches that were added on Rampage tonight, but looks like a pretty good show. So let me see if I can find what are those matches that they added. No, I'm not even gonna look for it. You know what? So because I got to get ready. I'm covering G1 for New Japan. That show starts in about an hour and a half here. I'm going to preview that and write that out. So if you're interested in G1 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'll be back in about 5 hours or so. So in the meantime, have a great weekend. Enjoy your time and have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Peace.